The Green Mile, 1999, directed by Frank Darabont and based on Stephen King's novel, is a profound exploration of justice, redemption, and the supernatural. Set in the 1930s, it follows the story of Paul Edgecombe, a death row prison guard, and John Coffey, a convict with an extraordinary gift. Starring Tom Hanks, Michael Clarke Duncan, and a talented ensemble cast. The Green Mile is both a deeply moving drama and a meditation on human compassion and cruelty. The film begins with Paul Edgecombe, Tom Hanks, now an elderly man in a retirement home, recounting the events that took place on death row at the Cold Mountain Penitentiary in 1935. Known as the Green Mile due to the green linoleum floor leading to the electric chair, it's a place where prisoners await their final days. Paul's recollections focus on the unforgettable time he spent as a guard and the people he encountered on the mile. Back in 1935, Paul supervises the death row block, overseeing prisoners along with guards Brutal Howell, David Morse, Harry Terwilliger, Jeffrey DeMunn, and Dean Stanton, Barry Pepper. The job is demanding and emotionally taxing, and Paul suffers from a painful urinary tract infection, symbolizing the physical and emotional burdens he carries. The story takes a pivotal turn with the arrival of John Coffey, Michael Clarke Duncan, a towering yet gentle black man convicted of raping and murdering 2 young girls. John Coffey's mysterious power. Despite Coffey's imposing appearance, Paul quickly senses that there is something unusual about him. Coffey is soft-spoken, fearful of the dark, and possesses a childlike innocence. Though he has been sentenced to death for a horrific crime, Coffey's demeanor and actions make Paul question his guilt. As the guards get to know Coffey, they witness his incredible, almost divine healing powers. Coffey first demonstrates his gift by curing Paul's urinary infection through touch, an experience that leaves Paul shaken and mystified. Coffey's miraculous ability to heal extends beyond Paul. Later, he revives Mr. Jingles, a pet mouse beloved by fellow prisoner Edouard Delacroix, Michael Jeter, who is on death row for murder and arson. Coffey's powers and the inexplicable events that follow hint at a greater purpose, leading the guards to wonder if Coffey is a man of God. Conflict with Percy Wetmore. Adding tension to the prison is Percy Wetmore, Doug Hutchison, a sadistic and petty guard with connections that prevent him from being fired. Percy abuses his authority, mistreating prisoners and terrorizing Delacroix by stepping on Mr. Jingles, only for Coffey to revive the mouse. Percy's cruelty reaches a climax when he intentionally sabotages Delacroix's execution, causing it to go horribly wrong. Instead of a quick death, Delacroix suffers excruciating pain due to Percy's deliberate tampering with the sponge used to conduct electricity. Paul and the other guards are horrified by Percy's actions, but are powerless to retaliate due to his political influence. They soon devise a plan to get Percy transferred to a mental institution and remove his influence over the mile. The healing of Melinda Moores. When Paul learns that Coffey's powers might be able to heal Melinda Moores, Patricia Clarkson, the terminally ill wife of Warden Hal Moores, James Cromwell, he faces a moral dilemma. Despite the risks, Paul decides to sneak Coffey out of the prison and bring him to the Moores' home. In a powerful, supernatural scene, Coffey miraculously heals Melinda's brain tumor, curing her completely. This act further convinces Paul and the guards of Coffey's innocence, strengthening their belief that he is a divine figure unjustly condemned. Discovering the truth. Paul's doubts about Coffey's guilt intensify. Through a series of revelations, Paul begins to suspect that Coffey may not have committed the crime for which he was convicted. Eventually, Coffey reveals that he has an ability to see into the hearts of men and show others their true nature. Using his gift, Coffey exposes the real murderer of the 2 young girls, William Wild Bill Wharton, Sam Rockwell, a deranged inmate on the mile who had been responsible for multiple crimes. The realization of Coffey's innocence torments Paul, but Coffey, resigned to his fate, accepts his role in the world. He believes that despite his powers, he is ready to leave a world filled with pain, cruelty, and hatred. Coffey's execution. As Coffey's execution date approaches, Paul faces a moral crisis. He considers helping Coffey escape, but Coffey gently dissuades him, explaining that he is tired of the world's suffering and wants peace. In an emotional farewell, Paul and the other guards carry out Coffey's execution, deeply affected by the loss of such a pure soul. Paul's experience with Coffey leaves an indelible mark on his life, and he struggles with the guilt of executing an innocent man with a gift so extraordinary. He questions the nature of justice and grapples with his belief in divine intervention, feeling haunted by the experience even in old age. The epilogue and Paul's longevity. The film closes with a return to the present, where Paul reveals the lasting impact of coffee's gift. Because coffee had passed a part of his gift to him, Paul has lived an extraordinarily long life, much longer than those he once knew. Mr. Jingles, now also incredibly old, serves as a symbol of the supernatural legacy coffee left behind. Paul, haunted by the events on the mile, reflects on the burden of outliving everyone he loved and the unique sorrow coffee's gift bestowed upon him. Themes and analysis. The Green Mile explores complex themes, including justice, redemption, and the nature of humanity. John Coffey's miraculous abilities and kind-hearted nature stand in stark contrast to the cruelty and injustice he faces, raising questions about the fairness of the death penalty and the moral responsibility of those who enforce it. His suffering, despite his innocence, challenges the audience to consider society's treatment of the misunderstood and marginalized. The film also addresses the struggle between good and evil. Coffee, symbolizing innocence and compassion, represents a beacon of hope in a world filled with corruption and prejudice. His death signifies a loss of innocence, as even those who knew of his goodness were powerless to save him. Percy and Wharton, on the other hand, embody cruelty and malice, highlighting the darker side of human nature. Moreover, the theme of redemption is central to the story. Paul and the other guards, through their encounters with coffee, become more empathetic and reflective, experiencing a moral transformation. They grapple with their roles in a justice system that often fails the innocent, leaving them to question the very purpose of their duty. The Green Mile is a moving and thought-provoking film that explores the complexities of justice, humanity, and the supernatural. With powerful performances and a deeply emotional narrative, it invites viewers to reflect on the true meaning of compassion and the ways in which society fails or upholds justice. Coffee's life, though brief and filled with suffering, leaves an everlasting impact on those he touched, reminding us of the profound influence one soul can have on others.